Hi, this is Tracy from Gift Basket Appeal, and today we're going to be making this heart-shaped paper wreath. So let's get started. All I did was take some foam board and I cut it into a heart shape. And I didn't use any kind of template to cut it out. I just kind of drew it in pencil freehand, and then I cut it out with an X-Acto knife, and then I traced a smaller heart on the inside, and then I cut that out also with an X-Acto knife. Then what I did was I just took some pretty ribbon and I hot glued it onto the foam board. So that way it will be a nice way to hang it. And so the ribbon is very light, and I just hot glued it right onto the foam board to make it easier. And we don't have to worry about all of this because this is all going to be covered up once we start decorating our wreath. I also took a really large red poster board and I cut them into strips. And it's about 1 inch going this way, and the length is going to be 12 inches. And that should be enough for us to do our fan fold to make our wreath. So for this particular size wreath, you're going to actually need about 30, maybe about around 30 of these strips. So all you're going to do with these strips is you're going to just kind of fold them. And this is a stiffer paper. And I'm just fan folding back and forth. Turn it over, fold, turn it over again, fold, fold. And this is about a 1/2 inch on those folds. But it doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm just folding right up to the end. And this is probably one of the longest processes as far as making the wreath, is folding these strips of paper. So when you're done, it should look like that. Let me do another one. Just folding these back and forth. So you could actually fold and then glue, or you can just keep going all the way through and make all of them. Before you start adding them to your wreath. So now that I've got this, there's just a little part sticking out here. I'm just going to cut that off. Okay. And so I'm going to go ahead and fold up the rest of these strips, and then we'll start adding them to our wreath form. So we're going to take our hot glue gun and we're going to start bending these strips, almost like a fan fold. And it should look like this when we add it to the wreath. So all I'm doing, I'm going to put some hot glue on here. I'm going to start at the bottom for this first one. I'm taking my strip and I'm just going to fan fold it. And I'm just going to place it on here. I'm going to add just a little bit more glue just to make sure it holds. And I'm just holding it down for a little bit. And just watch your fingers on that hot glue. Okay, and I just want to show you what that looks like. Oops, just need a little bit of time to just hold that down a little bit so that it's secure. And so that's the way it should look. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep placing more down, going along here. And then I'm going to work my way up the other side. But I'm also going to put one here because I want this to be exactly in the center at the top. So I'm going to glue another one down here. Okay, so that looks pretty secure. Okay, let's take another one. And I'm going to do this part right here. I definitely want those two to hit dead in the center there. And I'm just going to hold this on here for a little bit. And once it's dry, just move on to the next one. Okay, we're going to do it again, folding it this way. And folding it down. So I just want to make sure you can see that. And I want mine to be very close together. And my glue is actually on a high setting, my glue gun. And I'm just lining it up really close. Just want to make sure you can see that. And I'm just kind of pushing my fingers under to hold that. So let me show you how that looks. So you're just going to use that same technique going around the entire wreath. I'm going to do one more and then I'm going to go ahead and speed ahead so that you don't have to sit through the whole thing. Try to position these in a way where it's kind of at an angle, so it's coming up with the heart. So position it right here. And holding it down. I'm just pressing it down so it stays kind of straight up. Okay, so I'm going to start going around on each side, and then when I get close to the end, I'll come back to show you how I fill in those other last few. Okay, so I'm almost to the end of my wreath, and I've got one that I need to fill in right here. And then there's another little close open space that I want to close up there as well. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put some glue in here. And I'm just going to come around this area right here. I'm just sticking it right in here. Well, let me put a little bit more glue in there. And I'm just going to, just using the folds there, just kind of slip it in through there. And then I'm going to come around here and I'm going to just place that other part right here and hold it for a little bit. This other space is going to be a little bit more challenging because it's tighter. And even while you're filling this in, you might have a few that kind of pop up. You could just go back and glue those in so that they're secure. Okay, so that's tucked in pretty good. I'm just going to put just a little bit of glue in there because that one looks like it's having a tough time staying because it's so tight. And so far it's looking really good. Okay, so I'm going to turn this around and you see where this other little space is? I'm going to take this one, and I guess what I could do is cut it down just a little bit to make it a little bit more slender. I'm just going to cut it just around the top part because I'm going to have to tuck it in that other side there. And I'm just cutting off a little bit, but I'm still keeping that fold. See, there's hardly any space right there, so let's see if we can just drop this right in between here. Good thing is that they won't be able to see any of this glue. And so I'm just going to try to tuck this in. And I'm just pushing it right along the fold there. Okay. And I'm just going in between the creases here. It's just getting that last one in. And I'm going to tuck it in here. Okay. I'm just wiggling it in until I could get it tucked into those folds. All right. And that one's sticking up just a little bit. And I'm just holding that down for a little bit there. Once I get it the way I want it, you just have to kind of make sure it goes into those grooves. And I'm going to let that last one dry for a little bit, and then we'll come back to see what it looks like. Okay, our wreath is all done, but I wanted to come back and just show you. There's little spaces here where it's just a little bit white. It's showing a little bit of the foam board. So all you have to do is just put a little bit of glue in there, and then I have like little tiny strips of paper, just real tiny ones. And I'm just going to tuck it in there if you want to do that to cover it up. If not, you could just leave it the way it is. And so I'm just going to tuck that in there. Maybe get another piece. Tuck it in there. That's if you want to cover up these little spots. It just gives you another option. Just look around and see where you might want to cover up. There's another spot right there. I'm just taking the little scraps of poster board and I'm just pushing them right in between, just to cover up those little white spots. And I will make sure that I list all of the supplies below. And this is really a fun project because it uses minimal supplies. I'm just going to cut this down just a little bit. Very minimal amount of supplies. And so this is the wreath I did this year. And these last a really long time. So once it's done, it's done. Here's the one I did last year. And so the wreaths are all done. Let me show you what the back part looks like. Looks pretty neat. I will go ahead and list the supplies below as usual. And please comment, like, and subscribe. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye. It's going to look like, because it's not like I practice it, but I do have an idea in mind of what I want to do. So since I'm always thinking of different ideas to do with baskets, this was one of the ideas I had in mind.